There are nights when the sky does more than shine, it speaks. The shift between August and September is one of those times. The moon does not simply move, it pulls on the hidden layers of your being. This is not superstition. Across centuries, monks have studied how these transitions stir both nature and mind. The tides rise higher, the air grows heavier, and within you, something unsettled begins to awaken. Here is the truth. These lunar passages are not random events. They are signals of renewal, calling you to pause, to realign, to shed what no longer serves. The cycles in the sky mirror the cycles in your own life. Just as the moon wanes and waxes, you too pass through phases of clarity and confusion, silence and noise, loss and rebirth. But here's the danger. If you move through these days surrounded by distraction, you miss the rhythm entirely. You get drowned in the noise of others' fears, desires, and chaos. This is why solitude matters. The Shaolin way teaches us that by withdrawing, even briefly, you catch the hidden rhythm that others overlook. You hear the inner music of alignment. You become steady when everything outside trembles. In this video, you will learn why August 31st is not just another date but a doorway. You'll discover how silence sharpens your senses, how solitude acts as a shield, and how these cosmic patterns can either overwhelm you or awaken you. Stay until the end, because the deeper truths are never found in the beginning. They reveal themselves only to those patient enough to walk through the silence with me. Welcome to Shaolin Soulfire. If you walk this path of discipline and presence, subscribe and walk it with us. There is a difference between being cut off from the world and stepping aside to see it more clearly. Many fear solitude because they mistake it for emptiness. But solitude, when chosen, is a forge. It shapes perception. It deepens awareness. It is not a prison, it is training. In the mountains where Shaolin monks walk, silence is not an escape, it is a companion. The world continues with its noise, yet in stillness the monk hears more, not less. The wind brushing against stone, the soft rhythm of breath, the pulse within the body, all become teachers. When others see nothing in silence, the disciplined eye begins to see everything. Think of a blade. If it is never taken away from the battlefield, never placed on the sharpening stone, it grows dull. In the same way, the mind immersed only in constant chatter becomes blunt, unable to pierce through illusion. Retreating into solitude is the sharpening stone for the spirit. What seems like stepping away is in truth preparation for clearer action. Aloneness teaches you to confront the subtle forces inside. Restlessness, craving, fear. At first they rise like shadows, demanding your attention. But when you do not run, when you sit in stillness, they lose their power. The monk does not seek silence to avoid life. He enters silence so he can return to life more awake, more present, more precise in thought and action. This is the heart of cultivation. Alone, perception expands. Alone, the hidden rhythms of nature reveal themselves. Alone, the chosen one learns that the path was never about escape. It was about awakening sight that others have lost. When the sky enters moments of tension, the body feels it before the mind understands it. Sleep becomes lighter, thoughts begin to scatter, and the heart seems to beat against invisible waves. These are the signs of a heightened period, when energies move quickly and the inner world struggles to keep pace. In these moments, the untrained mind runs endlessly. It jumps from memory to worry, from hope to fear, like a candle flame shaking in the wind. But there is a way to steady it: the breath. Ancient practice teaches that breath is not just air moving in and out. It is the meeting point of body, mind, and spirit. The one who learns to breathe with discipline learns to master the storm inside. Shaolin monks train the breath as they train the body. Slow, deep inhalations root them to the earth. Long, steady exhalations release what is heavy. Each cycle draws the scattered parts of awareness back into one clear flame. This is why their movements appear calm, even under strain. The breath becomes an anchor, holding steady when the currents of thought try to pull them away. There is an old teaching: when the breath is shallow, the mind is restless. When the breath is steady, the mind becomes clear. In cosmic times, when energy rises and thoughts multiply, mindful breathing is the simplest and most profound shield. It restores rhythm, balance, and silence within. Breathing in, you return to yourself. Breathing out, you release what does not belong. Over time, this practice shapes discipline stronger than iron. It is not about escaping racing thoughts, but transforming them, turning chaos into clarity, turning restlessness into presence. In breath, the chosen one remembers the unity that cannot be broken. There is a kind of power that cannot be seen in outward display. It is not the fist that strikes or the voice that shouts. It is the ability to remain still when every force around you demands reaction. This is the strength of restraint, the discipline of holding back when the world pushes you to act without thought. On August 31st, as the lunar current stirs collective restlessness, many will feel unsettled. Tempers rise, decisions are rushed, emotions spill without control. The air itself carries a vibration that makes the mind impatient. But the one who has trained in silence knows another way. Stillness becomes a shield. By refusing to be swept into the noise, you step aside from the storm. In ancient practice, warriors learned this long before stepping into battle. They trained not only in strikes and movements, but in waiting. The pause before action was considered sacred, for it was there that clarity revealed itself. The archer who releases too soon misses the mark. The one who steadies, breathes, and waits finds precision. So it is with the chosen one on this date. The collective energy may rush like a river in flood, but restraint allows you to stand firm on the bank. Stillness is not weakness. It is mastery. To remain unmoved is to conserve strength while others exhaust themselves. To remain silent is to hear the deeper rhythm beneath the noise. In that pause, the restless energy of the world cannot penetrate you. Instead of reacting, you absorb. Instead of scattering, you center. This is how restraint becomes true strength, an invisible armor that turns chaos into calm and noise into clarity. When the moon shifts, it does more than move the tides outside. It stirs the tides within. Thoughts grow louder, emotions rise more quickly, and the mind becomes a crowded hall where too many voices speak at once. This inner noise is not a flaw. It is simply the echo of heightened energy. But if left unattended, it clouds judgment and scatters focus. Solitude is the counterbalance. By stepping away from the pull of others' words and the weight of their emotions, space opens inside you. That space is not empty in a barren sense. It is empty like a vessel waiting to be filled. In ancient Shaolin practice, this emptiness was seen as essential. A full vessel cannot receive fresh water. A cluttered mind cannot receive wisdom. When one sits alone in silence, without distraction, the agitation slowly settles, the way murky water clears when left untouched. At first, the noise may grow louder as it tries to pull your attention back. But if you remain still, a shift occurs. Thoughts lose urgency. The endless commentary weakens, and in that quiet, something subtle arrives. Clarity. It is said that wisdom does not enter a crowded room. It enters when the room is cleared, when there is openness to receive. The same is true of the mind. Lunar transitions can amplify chaos, but they can also amplify awareness if you have cultivated the discipline to create space. Solitude, then, is not about absence. It is about readiness. By becoming empty of noise, you become open to insight. By retreating from the clamor of the world, you return with eyes sharper, heart calmer, and spirit able to carry truths that could never be heard in the storm. When the world is quiet and you sit alone, something unexpected happens. The noise of daily life fades, but another noise rises, the voice within. Memories you avoided, doubts you pushed aside, fears you thought were gone all begin to surface. Many mistake this for weakness, as if solitude exposes a flaw. But in truth, this is the beginning of initiation. Shaolin teaching reminds us that the greatest enemy is not outside the walls, it is inside the mind. A warrior may train his body for years, but if he cannot face the shadows within, his strength is fragile. In solitude, those shadows step forward. They take shape as restlessness, regret, insecurity, or longing. They seem overwhelming at first, because distraction is no longer there to hide them. Yet this unveiling is not punishment, it is invitation. Every fear that rises is a gate, and walking through it sharpens your spirit. In ancient monasteries, disciples were left in silence for days, not to break them, but to force them into this encounter. The trial was not against another person, it was against their own mind. When the inner battle is faced, something shifts. Fear loses its sharp edge, doubt no longer rules. You see clearly that what once frightened you is only a shadow projected by thought. With patience and discipline, the chosen one learns that solitude is not an empty chamber, but a training ground. Victory here is subtle yet powerful, the ability to sit with yourself without running, the ability to hold your ground when the inner storm arrives. This is the true measure of mastery, not in conquering others, but in meeting your own mind with unwavering presence. When the world feels unsettled, the mind searches for something steady to hold on to. It does not always need grand gestures or long ceremonies. Often it is the simplest practices that bring the deepest grounding. A bay at the start of the day, the slow rising of incense smoke in a quiet room, a few mindful breaths taken before the first light of dawn. These are not empty traditions, they are anchors. In ancient times, monks used such rituals to mark the rhythm of life. The bow was more than movement, it was humility, a reminder to place the ego down before walking into the day. The incense was more than fragrance, it was a symbol of transience, showing how life rises, drifts, and dissolves. Breathing before dawn was not only physical, it was alignment with the fresh cycle of nature, when the air is still and the mind most receptive. These small acts create a pattern, and within that pattern lies stability. When outer energy grows unstable, rituals steady the inner current. The world may rush, but the bow slows you. The smoke drifts, and you are reminded to let thoughts drift too. The breath deepens, and the mind returns to its center. It is not the ritual itself that holds the power, it is the awareness behind it. By repeating these practices, discipline forms. By discipline, presence strengthens. And presence is the one thing that cannot be shaken by shifting tides or noisy minds. So even when storms move through the sky or restlessness stirs the earth, the chosen one remains anchored. Each small ritual becomes a quiet pillar, a point of balance that steadies the spirit no matter how wild the world outside may become. During times of lunar transition, life has a way of shifting what feels most secure. Relationships may change course, old ties loosen, and certain chapters close without warning. It can feel like loss, like the ground beneath your feet has been pulled away. Yet ancient teachings remind us that these changes are not punishment, they are movement, part of a larger rhythm that no one can control. The Shaolin path teaches a simple but difficult lesson: hold lightly. Nothing in this world, not even the closest bond, is truly fixed. To cling too tightly is to invite suffering, because all things are in motion. Just as the moon waxes and wanes, so too do people, circumstances, and connections rise and fade. Letting go is not abandonment, it is grace. To release someone or something without bitterness is to honor its place in your story while accepting that its season has passed. A leaf falls from the branch, not in anger but in harmony with the cycle of life. In the same way, endings do not diminish you, they prepare space for what must next arrive. Inner balance becomes the anchor during these shifts. If your peace depends on what stays outside you, you will always tremble when change comes. But if your peace is cultivated within, then even as things fall away, you remain steady. Shaolin masters understood this. The practice was never about controlling the outer world, but about mastering the inner response. So when transitions stir the heart, meet them with openness. Bow to what was, release it without chains, and return your focus to the still point within. That balance is the true wealth, the strength that no ending can take from you. Noise surrounds us everywhere. Voices, demands, the constant pull of thoughts and devices. At first it seems harmless, even normal, but over time it dulls perception. The mind grows used to distraction, And what is subtle, what is delicate, passes by unnoticed. Silence, on the other hand, sharpens perception. It turns the ear to finer sounds, the eye to hidden detail, and the heart to the truth that hides beneath appearances. In Shaolin training, silence is not simply the absence of speech, it is a discipline. When sound and chatter are stripped away, the body reveals its quiet teachings. The rhythm of breath, the beat of the heart, the subtle shift of balance in every step all become clearer. What was overlooked in noise becomes a guide in silence. Even the environment speaks differently. The crack of bamboo in the wind, the pause before rain, the faint stirring of life at dawn. For the chosen ones, Augusta T. First carries this exact lesson. The world will grow restless, the collective mind busy and unsettled. But silence on this day becomes a rare weapon. In silence, you step outside the cloud of collective noise. You notice what others miss. You see the undercurrent beneath the surface. Ancient masters taught that silence is not emptiness, it is heightened awareness. It strips away the unnecessary and leaves only what is essential. In moments of transition, such clarity becomes priceless. For those who walk the path with discipline, silence is not a retreat, but a sharpening of sight, a returning to the center where truth is never hidden. Noise blinds, silence reveals. And on this day, the one who enters silence will see farther than the one who chases the noise. To step into solitude is not to step away from life. It is to return to its deeper rhythm. Many believe that being alone means separation, a cutting off from the pulse of the world. Yet the ancients understood the opposite. Solitude reconnects you. When distractions fall silent, when the pull of other voices loosens, you feel more clearly the vast current that holds everything together. The cosmos moves in patterns, and the lunar cycle is one of its clearest mirrors. As the moon shifts, tides rise and fall. Seeds stir beneath the soil, and the body itself responds in subtle ways. On dates of transition, like August 31st, the currents are stronger. To remain caught in noise during such times is to miss the call. But to sit alone, even for a few hours, is to align yourself with that flow. This is why solitude is honored in traditions of discipline. It is not exile, it is attunement. The monk in his cell, the hermit by the river, the seeker beneath the night sky, all enter silence, not to disconnect but to merge more deeply with the order of heaven and earth. In solitude, the restless mind quiets. Breath matches the rhythm of nature. The body feels lighter as if carried. Renewal happens not by force but by alignment, like a sail catching wind once it is positioned correctly. So on this day, solitude is not a burden but a gift. It becomes the doorway through which clarity enters. Alone, you are not abandoned. Alone, you are in harmony with something greater, the cosmic order that has always moved, silently guiding, waiting for you to listen.